Hi, you're listening to Everyday Superpower, a place where we lay it down nice and easy how to understand the minds of others and how to read what somebody really believes or is trying to say to you through their body language and through their nonverbal cues, as well as the signals you send out into the world. Keep it nice and simple over here. What I'd like you to do is click like, click subscribe, and potentially leave a comment if you are interested in the topic at hand, and we're going to get straight into it. So, today we're going to be talking about being a potential target to others. So we're going to talk about how to avoid being attacked and or abused by potential predators. Alright, so we're going to talk about both being submissive and aggressive in the face of a threat. Right? So in the face of authority figures, in order to not engage in aggressive and, conflicted communication, what one party, i.e. the subordinate or those whom are lesser in the pecking order, the natural social order of what's going on, they will close themselves off, make themselves seem smaller, and divert their gaze to the potential predator. Okay, so just like an ape, if a human being is going to display aggression, the individual is likely to lock its eyes onto its victim. It's going to focus on the victim. The pupils will constrict, and the individual may try to look larger in a more threatening stance. Okay? So, to avoid being attacked, or the equivalent of being attacked, we aren't necessarily so animalistic that we will just fight every day of our lives. Nowadays we might fight through indirect means and through passive aggressive forms, okay? So your boss at work isn't going to punch you in the face, but your boss may deem you a problem if you are to stand up for yourself towards them, given that they think and feel that they should have some form of superiority over you, purely down to the workplace hierarchy, okay? So, to avoid being attacked, the victim may look away and may try to make itself look smaller. So this is a submissive behaviour, okay? When we talk about an individual being submissive, it's giving the dominance to that other party. Not always a bad thing. This is just a genuine dynamic and communication. Even the most powerful person can allow the other party to have dominance as a means of showing respect and giving calm to the communication. Because if somebody is so desperate and potentially insecure that they have to hold this dominant frame, sometimes it's not worth your while to try to compete, because it's only going to end up in a negative way and create a negative relationship between the two, or enhance that negative relationship, okay? So submissive behaviour is hardwired into our primitive side of the brain, and it's for a survival purpose, okay? Because we can't go around challenging everyone. We have to submit at some point in order for us to continue to live and to procreate in due time and to continue spreading our genes and creating generations of us. That's why we're here and why we've been here for as long as we have done, because we've survived, alright? So if we're under a form of attack or feel ourselves threatened, there's a potential that we may appear smaller by hunching the shoulders. We may pull our arms in closer to the body, so we're not as overtly territorial, as expansive, as taking up all the space we can do, okay? Such as somebody who believes they have the right to do so, okay? So we'll drop our chin to our chest to not only appear smaller, but it protects the throat. We may cover our ventral side, which is our torso, and our genitals in case of a potential attack, alright? And we'll avert our gaze so we won't look directly into the eyes of a potential predator. And what this may do is trigger an off switch in the brain of an aggressor, such as the boss, to allow them feel and know they're the boss, okay? Because if your boss, or if the police officer, or if the judge, and so on and so forth, is seeing you as an aggressive individual, and especially if they have some sort of chip on their shoulder and feel a slight to their ego, things can escalate very fast and not in your favour, if you understand where I'm coming from. So sometimes it's in your best interest to submit, and the benefit of you understanding these behaviours in body language is that you don't have to step on the toes of individuals without knowing why you've done it. Now you can contort yourself into positions to submit and to stand bold with the right people and look at them and understand how it's affecting them and go from there in the dance of this non-verbal communication. So making yourself appear smaller turns off an aggression switch in an aggressor's brain. We are going to talk about the vice versa in a moment, but we're speaking in regards to a more social context, okay? So this is a form of submission, and I would go as far as saying giving up, you know? So if you were to fight a war of any sorts, or play a competitive sport, or play a game of any sorts, and you were to give up, that's allowing the victory to the other side, whereas that creates a space between you that they won't continue aggressing purely because it would be over the top on their behalf, yet you can still understand in your brain how you stand with that other individual, and you can plan a means of responding in due time. Because that momentary sacrifice and submission doesn't have to be a lifelong thing, but at least momentarily you've disengaged the potential threat of the others, you see? So as far as a communication thing, it could be to your benefit because you really know what's going on, whereas they may be blinded by thinking they genuinely are of a higher status of some degree, when it's not really the case because you've offered it up to them through your own intelligence. Now we're going to talk about the opposite, and we're going to talk about standing bold and more aggressive rather so than in a submissive position. So this is when you don't want to be a target to those whom may be looking for someone who's in a submissive position. So initially we were talking about generally communicating with those whom you don't want to argue with or dispute with, or those who may hold the power to get you in a bad situation if they feel challenged by you. Now we're going to be talking about if you're walking in a street and there's a potential that somebody is going to rob you or attack you or so on and so forth. These individuals are predators looking out for prey. So if you walk with your chest out, your head up, proud and fearless in the face of threat, they're going to look at you and instinctively think, wait a minute, what has this person got this pride about? They could potentially be a fighter, or they could potentially know how to deal with themselves, or most importantly, they're showing they're not scared of what I or we could possibly do. Okay? Whereas if we walked past a group of potential predators in a submissive, closed off and fearful signalling way, it can contribute to inciting an attack. Alright? So if we walk upright with larger movements, which, paradoxically does generate more attention to us. So, if you don't, it would seem that to walk submissively and closed and slowly and, as a way to defy attention would be the best way to do it. But these people are concentrated on finding weak individuals to bully and push about. So just as I said, bullying, it's not necessarily regarding being in the street as well. So if you are in high school, or if you are in a workplace of any sort, if you're in a group and there's a bully, the bully is less inclined to try their luck with that individual who is walking upright, strong, 2 feet firm on the ground, creating this territorial display and projecting this natural confidence in the face of an individual whom deems themselves powerful. Because on a side note, if we were to approach this in the psychological realm rather so than the physical, statement of body language, what we will understand is that those whom are bullies and feel they need to pick on others actually have a frail sense of self, and it actually exposes the opposite of a strong individual. These people are actually weak. So if they see someone who seems genuinely strong-minded, and strong and content in their physical, they're not going to approach you like that. They're going to look at people they know they can push around. So there's a difference, okay? So just to re-clarify, because we've spoken on both sides of here, so you might be thinking, well, do I walk and communicate in a submissive means or in an aggressive, confident means? What you want to do is you want to submit to those above you. You don't want to outshine those individuals. Yet you want to stand bold and fearless in the face of those outside of the hierarchy as to which you are within. Those who can choose a, metaphorical life or death. You want to submit to them, but you want to stand strong in the face of those who don't have a say on your life or your direction, who may try to mug you off or take the piss out of you. You want to stand strong in the face of them. That garners respect, okay? So hopefully this was of benefit and gives you some food for thought. Keep your chest out. Defend yourself if necessary, and you will be less likely to be attacked. Okay? Whereas when you have to submit to get what you want, it's in your best interests to do so. Leave the ego to one side. You don't have to be macho forever, and to be macho forever, as we spoke about, exposes a frailty in an individual's sense of self, okay? So hopefully this was of benefit. Click like, click subscribe, leave a comment. I'm signing out. Peace.